Welcome to LiveDaf, your online Daf Yomi Shir.
Shalom Aleichem and welcome back to today's Daf Yomi Zevachim Kuf Zayin. We begin 3 lines off the top of the Amud, back to the din of Hashoichet v'Hamale. This pertains to a fellow who takes an animal which is meant for a korban. Okay, so it's a designated behema, already kadosh as a korban meant for the Beis Hamikdash itself, and he takes it outside the Beis Hamikdash and does shchita, and or he does ma'ale, which means he takes the material and puts it on like an altar outside the Beis Hamikdash. The isser is an isser which generates oynish of kares if done intentionally, and unintentionally generates a chatas. And there is a separate chiyuv for sheichet, a separate chiyuv for mala. We discussed yesterday the psukim that describe the oynish as well as the azhara, because for every oynish, it first needs to be preceded by a warning, by azhara. So we have the psukim, the sources regarding the shchutei chutz. But what type of shchutei chutz? So in the Mishnah, we actually learned that there are 2 types. According to the Chachamim, it doesn't matter whether he first did the shchita in the Beis Hamikdash and then decided to do phase 2, mala outside, which is chayev on, right? So although the shchita was valid, right, the mala which was done outside is an isser, and this is a more basic and more understood, a more simple understanding of the isser, because look, this korban that he was mala b'chutz was really suitable for inside. In fact, the shechita was done inside. It's a kosher korban. He took it outside. Bad news. What if he does the entire process outside? Phase 1, the shechita, which pretty much invalidates this korban. Then phase 2, the mala. Is he chayiv for the mala? But do we say no? Once he does the shechita outside, done deal. Show's over. Which was actually the shita of Rabbi Yisrael leading the Mishnah, if you recall yesterday. But according to the Chachamim, either way, whether the mala was done on the what we call muktari pnim in a minute, something which was shechted inside and meant for the inside right now, suitable for the inside, he took it outside, did mala b'chutz, whether it was that type of instance or it was muktari chutz, which means to say phase 1, shechita was already done outside and invalidated. Still, according to Chacham, if he proceeds to phase 2, he's chayiv twice, one for the shechita b'chutz, one for mala b'chutz. But we need sourcing for that second case. Says the Gemara, Ashkechan. So now we've established the warning, the chiyuv, right? By muktari pnim, sheler b'chutz. Karbanis was shechted in the azara, slated for aktar inside, sheler b'chutz, which he decided to take outside and do mala b'chutz. So that's the most simplified case. And in fact, the pasuk says, "Vel pesach oil moed levienu." He failed to bring it inside. Rather, he did mala b'chutz instead of it, indicates that it was suitable for the inside. So apparently, it's referring to the basic case. Okay, so that's a given. What about muktari chutz shehelim b'chutz minayin? What if the shechita already took place outside, which invalidated the korban, and then he proceeded with phase 2 as well outside? How do we know that he's chayev for the mala b'chutz in this case? Where's the pasuk for that? So we have one parsha speaking about shechita b'chutz, then ma'ala b'chutz, and we have the word va'aleim toimar connecting the two, indicating that phase 2 ma'ala refers back to phase 1. That even if phase 1 was done outside, if we proceeded with phase 2 as well, va'aleim toimar on those, the instructions were given, don't do ma'ala b'chutz. So even in that case, there is a liability. Allah smuchen on the ones that are nearby, meaning discussed in the previous parsha, the ones that were shechted outside. Allah smuchen toimar. It relates back to those. Maskal Rava. It says ve'aleim, to them, to those people. Miksiv ve'aleim, does it then say ve'aleim on those korbanos shechted outside, if you proceeded to do ve'aleim ksiv. Ve'aleim means to the people. Totally different meaning. Ella, rather, it's the vav that makes that connection. That it's one continuous process. Ella kedetana. The vav connects the two. So again, we have a parsha about shchutei chutz, followed by a parsha of mala b'chutz, indicating that mala on those shchutei chutz carries the same liability. We have a gzera shava, as we said yesterday. It says a lashon hava by the shchita, likewise by the mala, and we connect the two mala halan just like in the shchutei chutz. Certainly, it is muktari chutz; it is no longer meant for the inside. Afkan here as well by the mala. It's relating back to that same very animal that was shechted outside, muktari chutz, meant for the outside, for the procedure, and did mala, he's chayav a second time. Maskav l'Rav Bavli. If this is the case, then we have just come up with two variations of mala b'chutz, right? A simple mala b'chutz on a carbon that had been shechted inside, and a more advanced mala b'chutz relating to a carbon that was shechted outside. Two variations. So let's go to that Mishnah, beginning of Maseches Krisos, which lists for us the various violations that generate kares. 36 in total. Actually, if mala has two variations, one of those is mala, then it should be 37 in total. Add another variation of kares. One is he did mala on a carbon that was shechted inside, and another one is mala on a carbon shechted outside, right? Maskal Rabbi, we have a Mishnah Shloishim V'Sheish Krisos, but there are 36 kares generating violations in the Torah. It should be 37th Lassen V'Shev Havin Dika. Dika mala v'amala. You have two types of mala. Kashi, we leave it as an unanswered question. Okay, so now we know that one is chayiv for doing shchita b'chutz, mala b'chutz, in both variations. We have the oynesh, we have the ashara. What about if one does zrika, just zrika, of this dan carbon outside? His chayiv as well. But where's the source for that? What about the Mishnah which says hazoyrek mixas tam b'chutz chayiv? He takes part of the blood and does the zrika outside, even part of it, because that could generate kapara inside, even if just one application is done, as we went way back on Talmud Bavli. So it is sufficient to generate atonement, it's significant, and if he does it outside, he's chayiv. But no, how do we know? The same liability applies for zrika. We know about shchita, we know about mala, what about zrika? Nafkalim and Tanya, we have a brisa. There's a pasuk regarding the shchita which says dam yechashev. It's an extra expression. The rabbi is hazorik, to indicate that if he does an avodah with the dam outside, does a zrika, is chayiv. Divrei Rabbi Shmuel, who says that zrika is derived from the pasuk which speaks about, shchita. Rabbi Kiva Omer, no, it's actually from a pasuk by mala. Right, we have shoichet and mala. So by shoichet, we have an extra expression according to Rabbi Shmuel to cover zrika. According to Rabbi Kiva, it's the extra expression by the mala that covers zrika. Rabbi Kiva Omer oy zavach. In the pasuk of mala, it says if he's mala, an oila, or a zevach, like a shlomim. What's the extra word? Oy? Oy zevach, the rabbi says hazorik, to cover zorik. Okay, now we're sort of going to go back and forth, figure out what each shita does with the opposing pasuk, and etc. Rabbi Shmuel, hay oizevach ma'yavadei. What does Rabbi Shmuel do with oizevach? Ma'yavadei lachlik, lachalik. To teach that you don't have to bring an oila and zevach to be liable. Even one is enough. Rabbi Kiva lachalik menoleh. Has Rabbi Kiva no lachalik? Because according to him, the oy had already been used to cover zrika. Nafkle miloi v'yanu. He didn't bring him, it, which is singular. Violation occurs even with one carbon done outside. Rabbi Shmuel, what does he do with that lashon? It's needed for the following halach. Allah shalom chayiv. He's only chayiv if he does mala on a complete carbon outside. Ve'ena chayiv ala chaser, not on an incomplete, missing carbon. Rabbi Kiva nafklei. Rabbi Kiva learns that concept from a different pasuk. Malasas oisoi. He processed it, the entire entity, complete. Rabbi Shmuel, what does he do with this pasuk, which seems to be extra according to him? Well, the answer is he needs two psukim, because let's recall we just had two types of mala b'chutz, and in both we apply the same concept. He's only liable for complete, not for incomplete. But we need a pasuk for each case. Right? Chad, one pasuk, l'muktori pnim shechasru v'elo b'chutz. For a korban that had been shechted inside, and then the mala took place outside. So if it's missing something, it's pater. V'chad, in the second pasuk, the same halacha, but relating to a different case of mala b'chutz. L'muktori chutz, the one that had been shechted outside already. And then he proceeded to phase 2 outside. Shechasru, since it's missing a bit of the animal. V'elo b'chutz, v'eloi b'chutz. V'elon b'chutz. He's pater. Okay, so one is from Muktori Pnim, V'eloi b'chutz, one is from Muktori Chutz, V'eloi b'chutz. In both cases, if it's missing a bit, he's pater. In fact, we have a brisa which concurs to what we just said about Tanya. Rabbi Shmuel Leimer, right? Yochel Muktori Pnim shechasru, V'eloi b'chutz chayev. Talmud Leimer l'asay soy. What about the one that was shechted inside and he took it outside to do mal and it's missing something? He's pater, l'asay soy. Ala sholim uchayev. So you see that we need a special pasuk to cover this case. No, Rabbi Akiva only had one pasuk. So how does he know that the din to exempt a chaser applies even to muktori pnim? Rabbi Akiva muktori pnim shechasru v'elo b'chutz chayev. He holds you're right. There is no pasuk to exempt it. So the exemption of chaser only applies to muktori chutz, which is a lower level violation. So again, how do we know Zrika? According to Rabbi Shmuel from the pasuk by Sheichet, which says Dam Yechashiv. According to Rabbi Kiva, the word Oy Zevach by Mal. Now, what does each Tana do with the opposing with the other one's pasuk? Rabbi Kiva had Dam Yechashiv Me'avalei. So we explained what Rabbi Shmuel does with Rabbi Kiva's pasuk. But what does Rabbi Kiva do with Rabbi Shmuel's pasuk of Dam Yechashiv? Rabbi Shchita Soif. To include even if one does shchita on a kachin bird outside. Until now we spoke about animals. What about doing to a bird? Dam Yechashiv covers this as well. Rabbi Shmuel, how does he know this? Halacha nafkalei. He learns that from me. Oya sheyishchat. The word oya sheyishchat covers the shchita of a bird. Rabbi Kiva says no. That's needed for something else. It's coming to teach you. Allah sheichat uchayev. Only when one does shchita to a kachin bird outside, he's chayiv. What if he does malika, which is the standard procedure in the mikdash? He does it outside. He's not chayiv for malika. The chiyuv of a shechut is strictly by shchita. Shchita of an animal or shchita of a bird, but not malika. Rabbi Shmuel, how does he know to exclude malika of a bird? Nafkali, he learns that mizeh hadavar. This is it. This is absolute. Shchita as discussed and not malika. The Sanya, as we have in a brisa, Asher Yishchat. He did shchita on the carbon outside, and the yellow sheichet behema, perhaps only on an animal. Shechad deif menolan. What about if the shchita on a bird carbon outside? Is that also included? Tamaloymar oy asher yishchat. What about malika on the bird? Yochel af hamalik. In fact, it's logical that it would be considered because, look, malika, if anything, is the appropriate method applied to a bird carbon in the Beis Hamikdash. V'dinu, it certainly lends to it in logic. Ma shchita dein derech hechsher b'fnim. Even shchita on a bird, which is not really the appropriate method in the Beis Hamikdash. But if he does it outside, he's chayav, as we just established. Certainly malika, which is the appropriate method. If he should do it outside, of course he should be chayav, right? Malika shederech hechsher b'fnim. In adin wouldn't lend to reason shiu chayav that if he does it outside, he's chayav. Tamaleimar comes the pasuk zeh hadavar, as said. Shchita only, not malika. Rabbi Kiva already knows that from the other pasuk. What does he do with v'zeh hadavar? Amalach is needed for something else. For Xereshava, which is discussed in Masechta Torah. So we know shchita b'chutz is chayiv, zrika b'chutz is chayiv, mala b'chutz is chayiv. What about kmitza on a mincha b'chutz? U'makabel damim, he's pater. What about the Mishnah which says hakoymetz? V'makabel dam b'chutz, he's pater. How do we know to exempt these activities? Well, how would you know? Why would you think otherwise? U'meicha teisi d'chayiv. Why would you say is chayiv? You know why teisi is shchita? I can compare it to shchita. Shchita is, and avoid on the carbon, and if it's done outside is chayiv, why not the other ones too? Well, you can't compare others to shchita, which has an advantage, has an element of superiority regarding a carbon pesach, mala shchita shekein ifselesh, shaloi lo echem b'pesach. If one does shchita on a carbon pesach, having in mind individuals that cannot eat, unwell people, the shchita is invalid, which is something unique to shchita, which you don't find by kmitza and makabel. So you can't compare. Okay, Teisim is Zrika. Can't learn from Shchita, learn from Zrika. Zrika is Chai V'chutz, likewise these activities. Well, again, Mal is Zrika is different. Has an element of advantage. Shekain Zar, Chai Misa. If a Zar, non-Kain, does Zrika in the Beis HaMikdash, instead of a Kain is Chai Misa, which is something unique to Zrika, not applicable to Kabbalah or... Right? So you really can't compare the Kmitza, the Kabbalah to either Shchita or Zrika, but perhaps we could make a joint source. Teisim Benai, learn it from both together, combine the two. If both Shchita and Zrika Yuchai B'chutz, despite their differences, right? Apparently it's not related to their unique components, rather it's because it's an Avodah. And if done outside, it's Chai. Same with Kmitza, same with Kabbalah, it's an Avodah. If done outside, it should be Chai. Teisim Benai. Learn from both of them. Okay. Well, it says the Gemara, if the Torah allows us to extrapolate by way of combining that source, I have a question. We went through this whole effort to uncover a source for Zrika B'chutz Chayiv. Skip the source. Just extrapolate it from these two. Why does the Torah have to specify Zrika B'chutz is Chayiv? Just learn around those two. How? If we learn it from Shchita, well, you can't learn directly from Shchita. Zrika from Shchita. Mal Shchita, because Shchita has that advantage, as we said, Shekain Nevselas Shaloi L'Shemechem Pesach, because it's not good if it's done by Pesach, right? Okay, so Teisim Ma'allah. Learn from Ha'allah directly. Ma'allah B'chutz is Chai, the same with Zrika. Well, you can't. Ma'allah Shekain Yeshna B'mincha. Ma'allah B'chutz has an advantage over Zrika, because Ma'ala B'chutz can apply to a mincha as well if he offers the material outside, but Zrika doesn't apply to a mincha. Right? Okay, so you can't learn one from one, Teisim Benaya. Extrapolate from a combined source. We find there's a chiyuv by Shchita and Ma'ala B'chutz, despite their differences. What's the common denominator? They're both Avodah and Chai B'chutz, the same with Zrika. That explains why the Torah made that effort to explicitly mention Chiyuv by Zrika B'chutz. Remember, to teach us when it comes to these halachas, you cannot extrapolate. It has to be a direct warning, a direct discussion, a direct reference to this particular activity. The loy asim, but now you can't learn it from a combined joint source. And the answer is why? There's no Chiyuv by Kaimetz or Kabbalah Zameh B'chutz. There is no pasuk. Okay, let's just summarize. What about the pasuk of Zrika? Where is it from? Where's the source? We had a machlekes. Going to Rabbi Shmuel, it's based on the psukim of Shchita, Dam, Shafach, to cover Zrika as well. So it relates to the parsha of Shchita. Not so according to Rabbi Akiva. Oy Zevach, that's by the Mala, and that covers Zrika. Now it's not just limited to sort of research and research value. It has a very significant difference in consequence as well. You know, where you're learning it from. Why? Let's see. Amar Bevo. Because if a person does the same, let's say a person does Chilul Shabbos twice within the same, short lapse of time, the same helem, the same forgetfulness, he's only chayv one chatas, right? Unless he does two separate malachas, right? Likewise, when it comes to these violations of sheichet and mala, right? In order to generate separate liabilities and separate obligations of korban chatas, he needs to have violated two separate isurim. Okay, but if they're both sort of covered under the same umbrella, for instance, just an example, going to Bishmal Zrika is incorporated into the Shchita discussion. That's what the pasuk for Zrika is. So if he does Shchita and Zrika in the same experience, he's only chayv one. Right? Because it's all part of the same discussion, same issue. Whereas according to that's a Rishon. According to Rabbi Akiva, no. Zrika relates to Mala. That's what the pasuk is. So he does Sheichet and Zorik. It's like he did Sheichet and Mala, two separate, independent chiyuvim, right? And so on and so forth. So we're going to go through this mathematical, equation, figuring out how many chiyuvim according to which opinions. Amar Bavo, Shachat v'zorak l'divrei b'shmuel chayav echas. If he does shchita and zrika, in one experience, one halem, one forgetfulness. So according to Bishmuel, how many? Only one chiyuv, because it's all covered under the same psukim, the same punishment. But the Rebbe Kiva, that zrika connects to mala, so he committed two separate violations. He did shchita and something which relates to mala, an independent liability, independent chiyuv. He's chayav shtayim. That's Rabbi Avo's take on things. Okay, Amar Avo. According to Shmuel, it's 2. According to Rabbi Kiva, it's 1. Abaya Amar, no. Afilu li Rabbi Kiva. Ein chayav alachas. He says like this. Even according to Rabbi Kiva, you think it's 2? No, it's only one liability. Why? The Amar Kra, the pasuk by Mala says Sham Tasa, Sham Tala v'Sham Tasa. The pasuk here is drawing a line between ma'ala and everything else, all other carbon related activities, lumping together shchita and zrika all as one. Hakasav ason, the Torah now crafted them all into one. The kulam, everything aside from ma'ala is avodah considered one type of activity, covered under the same umbrella. There's only one liability. Interesting. Now, what about zorak vehela? Let's shift a bit. He did zrika and ma'ala. So the tables turn, right? Rabbi Shmuel, chayav shtayim. Because according to Rabbi Shmuel, zrika relates to the parsha of shchita. That's one liability, and mala is a separate liability. So it's 2. However, the Rabbi Kiva and chayav la'achas, because according to him, zrika is derived from the psukim of mala. It's one package. Abaya Amar, no. Once again, he takes issue. He says, I feel the Rabbi Kiva, even according to Rabbi Kiva, chayav shtayim, it's split into 2. Why? As we explained, as we see, the Torah splits them. Splits mala from the rest. Sham tala, that's mala, v'sham tasa. So although the zrika is sort of sourced in the mala discussion, but the Torah separates them. So even according to Rabbi Kiva is chayav too. Now in the next case, it's pretty clear that he generated 2 liabilities according to all shittas. Let's say he does all 3. Shachat, v'zorak, v'hela, l'rakol, of course. According to everybody, there's no question chayav shtayim is chayav 2. Because just forget about the zrika. The shchita is separate, the mala is separate. Okay, so certainly when there's a zrika mix. Okay, so let's just recap this point. If he does the zrika, according to Rabbi Shmuel, is chayav because it is sourced in the pasuk of shaychet. According to Rabbi Kiva, is sourced in the pasuk of mala. What if he does shchita and zrika together? According to Rabbi Shmuel, it's only chayav 1. It's one discussion. Shechet and Zerek go together. According to Rabbi Kiva, however, well, Rabbi Vo says he's chayav 2 because Shachat is one item and Zorak relates to Mala, a different item. According to Abaye, he's only chayav 1 because the Torah says everything other than Mala is considered one entity, including Shechet and Zerek. What if he does Zorak with Mala? According to Rabbi Shmuel, is chayav 2 because zrika relates to shchita and mala is a separate, chiyuv. According to Rabbi Kiva, well, again, according to Rabbi Vo, is chayav only 1 because zarek and mala are related. According to Abaye, is chayav 2 because the Torah separates mala from the rest. Shachat, zarek, and mala, according to all shchita, he's chayav 2. Now comes an interesting question. If he does shchita or mala outside the Beis Hamikdash, certainly chayav. How do we know where he is? Maybe he's got to be all the way outside Yerushalayim, Tanur Rabbanan. So he did the shchita mechutz lamachne. Yochel chutz l'sholosh machnes. Perhaps it means all the way outside, all 3 encampments. So in the midbar there were 3 levels of camping. There was the Mishkan itself, Machne Shechina, surrounded by the Leviya, Machne Leviya, and surrounded by the Yisrael, Machne Yisrael, and outside all 3 were considered beyond. Correspondingly, in Yerushalayim would be outside Yerushalayim, outside the Beis Hamikdash, Har Bayis, and the city, right? So perhaps the chiyuv of shchut echutz only relates to a fellow who did it all the way outside. Rashi explains because we're going to compare it to the halacha of burning the parav on esrafim, which we learn is also all the way outside. So perhaps through Gzeira Shava, Rashi says, in any case, maybe you got to be all the way outside. Even he does it in the machna. Which means to say, even though he's not fully outside, he's just outside the, Beis HaMikdash. Well, Iba Machna, if you're going to focus on B'machna, perhaps it means even in the Beis HaMikdash, in the wrong location within the Beis HaMikdash. Perhaps that also qualifies as Shchutei Chutz and is Chayiv. Iba Machna, Yechal HaChashechet Oila B'darim. He did the Oila on the Darim side of the Azar instead of the north side. Perhaps he's Chayiv. Tamulayma, oh, Yel Mechus L'Machna. It's got to be outside. So we learned that it has to be somewhat outside the Machna. Somewhat outside, the Machna Shechina. Not all the way outside Yerushalayim, but, somewhat outside. Machutz L'Machna. Miyuchad. Shein Roy L'Shchitas Koch. Shchitas Kol Zevach. Chutz L'Machna would indicate perhaps all the way outside, right? Which is totally unsuitable for anything, for any carbon, right? Likewise, even though we bring him back from all the way outside, we go back to B'machna, right? And hold him accountable, even if he does it B'machna. But B'machna has to qualify as a place, as a location which is unsuitable entirely for karbanos, as opposed to in the Beis HaMikdash, just on the wrong side. The darim of the Azor Shafal B'Shein Roy L'Shchitas Kodesh Kodesh, although it's not suitable for Kachim Kachim, which is meant to be in Zafain, but it's still Roy L'Shchitas Kachim Kam. It's meant for a regular carbon. Evidently, it doesn't qualify. So it's sort of ping-ponging, right? Initially, we figured, okay, it means all the way out of the Yerushalayim. No. Even in the Machna. Well, if even in the Machna, maybe even in the Beis HaMikdash on the wrong side. No. It has to qualify, has to adhere to some element of beyond all three, which is totally unsuitable for anything. So even though we don't really require it to be all the way outside, even in, Har Bayis or Yerushalayim, but it at least has to be a place which is totally unsuitable for karbanos. So at the end of the day, if he does it in the Azar itself, even offside, he's not chayiv. If he's only chayiv, he does it outside the Azar. What about on the rooftop of the Beis HaMikdash, of the Heichal? Amar Ullah, Shechet al Gaga Yishal Heichal, he's chayiv. Because as we just said, is it roy for shchita? No. Totally unsuitable. Wrong location. He's chayiv. Hoyel ve'ein roy l'shchitas kol zeh. It's not meant for anything. Maskav al-Rava. Im kein, if he's chayiv up there, despite it being in the Beis HaMikdash, nichtev kra mechus l'machna. The pasuk should suffice by saying mechus l'machna, which sounds like it's outside, right? The wrong place, right? Didn't have to say, well, he failed to bring it al Pesach Oyel Moed. Why does the pasuk have to stress he did not bring it to Pesach Oyel Moed? To exempt the rooftop, because after all, it is Pesach Oyel Moed. It's not on the right floor, but it's within this cavity, so to speak. El Pesach. These words, El Pesach Oyel Moed. He failed to bring in El Pesach Oyel Moed. Why is that a stress? Why is that a focus? Lamali, what's that for? Lavli mutigagi, apparently to exempt the rooftop. It's not a suitable place, but after all, it is Pesach Oyel Moed according to Rav. So he's pot. No, says the more Rav according to Rav, Imkein Nichtav El Pesach Oyel Moed. Why can't the pasuk just suffice with that? Say, well, he failed to bring it El Pesach Oyel Moed. Which, as we said, excludes the rooftop, excludes the wrong side of the Azara. In all these cases would be potter, but apparently anything beyond that is chayiv. I mean, by default, you understand. If you're here, you're safe. Anywhere within the structure, you're safe, but anything beyond the structure, you're chayiv. Right? So the pasuk could have been much more concise and brief in its presentation. Just say simply, the fellow failed to deliver the carbon and process it and in the area of Oyel Moed, a Pesach Oyel Moed, which teaches you two things, twofold. First of all, anything within this structure is okay, is pater, and obviously anything beyond is chayiv. Har Bayis, Yerushalayim, right? The Ravim came nichtav el Pesach Oyel Moed, kama b'machna chutz l'machna lamali. Why do we need those extra psukim telling us where and when? Lavla suyigaga. Apparently, it's just the opposite. The pasuk is actually indicating I wouldn't know to exempt a shechita that occurred in the wrong location in the Beis HaMikdash, such as the rooftop. Actually, he's chayiv. Right? So B'machna, as Rashi explains, B'machna tells you, anywhere in the wrong location, which is deemed wrong location, even the rooftop. So you got to cover the roof. Amar of Mari. No. Rooftop is exempt. Why B'machna? Rooftop is exempt. What is included in the Yisra? Well, let's say the animal is fully in the Azara, but its neck is sticking out. It does a shechita on the outstretched neck. So the Torah has to tell you it's chayiv, because after all, the shechita, although the animal is mostly inside, but the shechita is taking place outside. Well, it says, well, that's obvious. We don't need a pasuk for that. Savar b'chutz, if the neck is outside and that's where the shechita took place, pshita, of course it's chayiv. Amai kavod rachmana, what's the Torah particular about? Shechita, the act of shechita, where the whereabouts of the shechita. Shechita b'chutzi. Where's the shechita located? Outside, of course it's chayiv. You don't need a pasuk for that. Ella, rather, the pasuk is lasuya to cover kula b'chutz v'tzavar b'fnim. It's the opposite. The animal's outside, sticking his neck inside, does a shechita inside, I would think it's okay. No. So although the shechita takes place inside, since the carbon was outside, it's considered a shechita chutz. Okay, so machlekes regarding the rooftop. Right, all agree. Shechita taking place outside the Beis HaMikdash is chayiv, even though it's immediately right outside. It's not outside Yerushalayim. If it's in the Beis HaMikdash, on the other hand, but it's in the wrong place, like in Dorain, not chayiv. On the rooftop, we have a machlekes. Itmar, now comes a new discussion. What about nowadays? If one does shechita on a carbon outside the Beis HaMikdash, there's no Beis HaMikdash. Is there a chiyuv, just like the good old days, or not? And it really depends on how you look at the kedusha of the Beis HaMikdash, which had been destroyed. Is the kedusha still intact? In which case the isur of shechut echutz still would be active. Or do you say the kedusha was batal? There's no isur. To be makriv a carbon today outside the Beis HaMikdash, you can have a bama, like before the Beis HaMikdash had been built, you can use bamas nowadays too. Or do you say no? Itmar hamal b'zman hazeh. If a person offers a carbon nowadays outside the Beis HaMikdash area, Rabbi Yechon Amar chayiv, Rish Lakish Amar potter. Rabbi Yechon Amar chayiv. Kedusha Rishoyna, the initial kedusha of the Beis HaMikdash is still there, in full force. We may not bring karbanis outside. Kitchel Shata was sanctified for its time and forever. You could also love it. So everything is still applicable to it. Rish Lakish Amar potter, no, he's exempt. Kedusha Rishoyna Kitchel Shata. The original kedusha, which was there at the time, it was only for that period, but not for nowadays. According to Rashi, it would be okay actually to be makriv on a bama outside the mikdash. Says the Gemara. Perhaps this discussion relates to another machlekes between Tanoi regarding this very same point. The kedusha of the Beis HaMikdash, it's still active or not? Regarding, karbanis. Name of the Beplukta, the Reb Lezer, Rishokim Mifliki. Perhaps this relates to the machlekes in Maseches Megillah. It's not. Amar Reb Lezer, Amar Reb Eliezer. Shoyabayin and Behechel. When they returned to Eretz Yisrael in the time of Ezra, they rebuilt the Beis HaMikdash. So how did they do the Hechel? Hayoisim Kloim Behechel, Kloim Bazaris. They would first encircle the intended enclosure with Kloim, with these curtains, around the Hechel area, around the area destined for the Azara, and then they would, slowly build up the structure. The only difference is, Elo Shebehechel Bain Bachutz. In the Hechel, the curtains were encircling the circumference, and they would build on the outside. So the workers would not step into the area destined for the Hechel. Ubazara Bain Bifnim. The Azara was the other way around. For some reason, they decided to curtain the perimeter of the construction job, and they would work inside the curtains. I'm not really sure. And the point was, because by the Hechel, they don't want the workers to walk into the area of the Hechel, which is off limits, and look at the Hechel area, whatever. But so there they had They blocked out the actual Heichel area. Okay. Or Yeshua, no, there's no need for curtains. Shamati, I heard from my teachers, they would offer karbanos even though the Beis HaMikdash was not yet built. The Kedusha was already there. And likewise, they would consume the karbanos as though there was a Beis HaMikdash. Even though we have no Azara, Kachim Kal Maser Sheni can be consumed even though there's no wall around Yerushalayim because the Kedusha is still active. Because the initial Kedusha way back, was Kaddish for then and forever. That's Risho's opinion. Apparently Rabbi Eliezer was disagreeing on that. No, he says you need to have curtains to get things going. You have to have some sort of semblance of structure to get that Kedusha reactivated. Kedusha was not there anymore. It's expired. Kedusha was not there after destruction. Likewise nowadays. So apparently this machlokes that we're having between Rabbi Yochanan and Shlokish regarding Kedusha nowadays connects to this machlokes in terms of how they made that construction. Who says? Who says that's the basis of the machlokes between Rabbi Eliezer, who speaks about curtains, and Rabbi Shua does not speak about curtains? Mimai, who says? Perhaps all agree that the initial Kedusha during Bais Rishon was there for all time. There's no machlokes on that. Just as Rabbi Shua states that you could have a curb, etc., even with no standing structure. And there's no machlokes on that at all. Rather, each Tana was merely relating what he heard from his teachers, unrelated to his colleagues' presentation. Umar Maidishmilik Omar. He was relating what he heard, that there was curtains, and right. Umar Maidishmilik Omar. Bishua was relating what he heard from his teachers, that actually the Kedusha was always there and was suitable for Akrav, etc. No, so if that's the case, why was Rabbi Eliezer speaking about curtains? Why were they even required? Kedusha was there regardless. Perhaps you'll wonder, Kalayim, those curtains, construction curtains, the Rabbi Eliezer, Lamali, what were they for? The answer is, just to hide and, protect the area from onlookers and curious, passerby. And it was just a matter of kavod and preserving the kavod, the honor of the Makom HaMishkan, Makom HaShechina, during, the construction phase. But technically it wasn't necessary. Halachically, the Kedusha was still active, even without those curtains. Okay, so summation. There is a Hazhara, there's an Einish for Shchutei Chutz. Whether the Shechita was done outside, whether Mala was done outside, whether Mala was done on Shchutei Pnim or Shchutei Chutz. This is according to Shittas Rabban. There's an Isser for Zrika as well. According to Rishmo learned from the pasuk of Shechita. According to Kiva learned from the pasuk of Mala. And we went through back and forth what each one does with the other one's pasuk. We did conclude that Shechita on a bird outside is also Chaypa, not Malika. Kmitza, Kabbalah Sadam B'chutz is Pater. We went through the numbers of Chiyuvim through various variations and combinations of Shechita, Zrika, and Allah. Shechita and Mala B'chutz is only Chayiv if it's outside the Mikdash. But if it's inside the Mikdash, just in the wrong location, it's Pater. But on the Gag is a Machlekes. We learned about the behemoth standing outside with its neck inside. So although technically the Shechita was inside, but the animal was considered outside, it's Shchutei Chutz. Regarding Bizman Hazeh, Rabbi Yochanan says Chayiv. There's an Isser of Shchutei Chutz even today, according to Rish Lakish, Pater, because according to Rashi, there's no Isser B'Mais nowadays. All the best to you and Hatzlach.